Hello guys, good day to you. Welcome back to another episode of the weekly technical analysis. So today I'm starting with the Bitcoin on the weekly. As we can see, much has not changed on the weekly since the last time we did the analysis. So I will jump the weekly chart and proceed to the daily chart. So as we have here, we have this triangle which I mentioned in the last video that I expect a bullish movement to the upside and probably a range in action between this lower demand and this upper supply. So there is nothing much here to explain to. It's very much still the same thing. So let's just go to the 4-hourly to do the explanation and analysis. So what happened was that we saw the break of this triangle, this symmetrical triangle. We saw the break of this movement some days ago. And when this happened, I saw many people on Twitter and some other platforms who had the same triangle as I do. They started changing their bias from this symmetrical triangle, which is a bullish movement, and they started drawing a descending triangle. If you do not know what the descending triangle is, a descending triangle is one with a diagonal resistance, but then a static supply like this. So they have this support which has been touched repeatedly, 1, 2, and then this was just about to happen then. So the moment the triangle broke is diagonal support, instead of breaking to the upside, they started changing their bias to be a descending triangle and then forecasting that price will come into the 26,000 range before making an up movement back. But I did not change my bias because it is good to be fluid in trading. It wants to be like water. So once you see something changes, you are able to adapt to what the market is telling you. The market tells different stories different times. It was bullish, then maybe change to bearish. You too want to be able to change from that bullish sentiment into a bearish sentiment the moment the market is telling you that. But I did not change this triangle. Not that I do not want to change it or not that it is not broken. Of course it is broken, but what I know from this market is that most times when smart money wants to place a trade, they also want to shake out buyers. So people who are buying at the touch of this trend line here, they are being shaken out. So when they sell back in stop loss, or when they sell because they do not want to go into much losses, or they are selling because they believe this trend has been broken and the market is bearish, then the smart money are buying all what they are selling, and then after they are done buying, we see a price movement back to the upside. And from the very initial analysis which I did on TradingView, I will post the link in the description. I said I expected a movement in price action between this supply here and this demand here. So I want a range in price action for price to range between this supply and this demand, which we are not getting the full range, but all this price action we are seeing is still a range because these are basically sideways action. So that is what I was expecting, and then for me to expect a range between this lower demand and this upper demand means there must be a shakeout on this triangle before actually playing out, and then I will change my bias once this price line is broken. So I won't change my bias because the triangle is broken and then there is suddenly a descending triangle here. There was a descending triangle for me. This is why consistency matters a lot to be a successful trader. You want to be consistent, not just in making profits, having more wins than losses, but then consistency in your analysis. If you want to use the wicks, the highs and the lows, use the wicks and the highs, and the high, which is the highs and the lows. But do not, because you are using the wicks, or the which is the highs and lows, and because it's broken, then you change it to use the open and close. That is not being consistent at all. If you even want to use the close and open data here, if we take this trend line to the open of this candle, close of that candle, and we join it to the close of this very candle as well, we still have a symmetrical triangle in place. So why will you, because this has broken, then you decide to change everything on your setup to be a descending triangle, and then you'll be calling 27,000. Even if price breaks this price line, which is 20 27,800. If it breaks and close below it, I won't be buying on 27,000. Of course, prices may react from me to the upside, but then I will be buying around the 24,000 level. That is just my personal bias. So I change my bias in the market when there is clear indication, there clear invalidation of my analysis, and I will not be bullish on this whole scenario when there is a close below this demand, which signifies that this demand has been fully broken. So we may have a supply here. So, and if we look at this market, there is something that is forming, and that is on this very little price action. We have an ascending triangle. If we take the lows, these very lows, join it to this very low, draw it to the future, then these very highs, if you want to use the highs, if you want to use a close to it, still works the same thing. So draw it to the future like this. So what do we have? What is this pattern? This pattern is an ascending triangle. An ascending triangle, as we know, it may choose to come back like this and then break up, then retest it, then continue upward. And then what do we have here? This demand, which is on a very low time frame, which I said I took the trade and I got out. So we have a supply here now. This might break this ascending triangle into this supply, choose to retest it, and then come back into this supply or another supply which is above here, because we have consecutive supplies on this very chart. So I am still expecting the range in price action between this upper lower demand and this upper supply. And these little ranges which we have seen so far has given some altcoins the time to rally. We have ETH making all-time highs now. We have apps which has made all-time highs and continues to make so. We also have Link, which they are continuously making their all-time highs, just because we have this sideways action on Bitcoin. Because we have sideways action doesn't mean it is not trendy on a lower time frame. Of course it will be, but then on a much bigger time frame there is no much going on. So I expect this triangle to either come for one more test of this, which there is a little demand here as well. I don't know if you can spot that, but there's a little demand here as well, which just rhymes with the diagonal support. So it's likely, like I said, we have a retracement back to the trend line for a third touch and then a break. We may breach this supply to then retest and then up, and we may not get it like that too. But so far, this is what I see on Bitcoin. So proceeding to ETH on the weekly, there is not much thing to look on the weekly for most of these coins. They are just too parabolic in nature. So on the daily, I said I wanted price from the last analysis on ETH. I wanted price to come back into the demand here and then make an upward rally. It did come back into it, and now we have this all-time highs here. So apart from that, there is nothing to look on the daily. So this still remains the demand if price chooses to come back, because we have this size and we have price trading below the very highs now. This previous side, we have price trading below it. If price do close below it, this is an SFP. Another close below it will react. We bring reaction from SFP traders to short the market. For clarity, let's look on the 4 hours. Okay, so this is what we have on the 4 hours. We have the highs here, which we have one very candle close below. We have another wicking into it and closing below. So this is enough action telling the SFP traders that this is a nut of this area, a tap into liquidity, sell side liquidity. So some may want a reaction to the downside, probably a retest of this daily zone. But then there is something going on here that I see at this very region. There is a reaccumulation here where we have price rallying from a demand and then going into sideways movement, consolidation, sideways movement. So you may want to use this as a point of interest whenever the market comes back into it. So either we have the market come into it, react back to the upside, either to find a closure above this or to create another fake high coming back into this. So there are two different scenarios that might happen. We may choose to come back into this area and not approach here and then rally back up due to whatever BTC is printing. So that is one. Another thing is we just rally from here and find a close above this, test this as support, then rally up. Another thing is we get a test of this demand, then rally up. Or we get a test of this demand, then find supply here, come back into this lower demand before going back up. So those are the scenarios. But this price action that is printing at this very soon, coming above this size, creating an all-time high and closing below it on multiple candles, it is not ideal. As SFP traders and many other traders, support and resistance traders are now trading this as a resistance. They will be waiting for this price line to break for them to go long, to go short, while having their stop above the high. So that is it on ETH and the 4 hourly. So let's look at link. Okay, link on the weekly not interesting too, is still parabolic in nature. On the daily, I remember saying on the daily that this point of resistance, support and resistance traders will be converting into support when price comes back into it. And then we found a zone, a demand zone on it on the 4 hourly. So this is still the daily demand. So let's go into the 4 hourly. There is not much to look at here. This was a zone, price came into it, tripped, shaked out some traders who have their stop just tightly below this, and then rallying to make a new all-time high. So what am I looking at if price used to come back into it? Definitely we have this size now, we have this new highs making. We don't have a strong price action here, which looks like distribution. If we have a strong move to the upside, then it can be a reaccumulation. But as it is right now, it's looking with the low volume we're experiencing on this. Do not mind this above average 2 volumes. Looking at the price candle, they are not worth it. So it looks like distribution. And what will I expect? In case this price comes down, I will expect a trade back into this zone before I start buying. This zone is also can be a buy zone. It can be a good buy zone, but then to me, I just don't feel comfortable taking a trade at this point. As from the break of this, I do not see strong price movement above it, above this side. So this area is just too close. Of course, price can come into it and then continue upwards. You can come into it, make a little bounce, dead cat bounce, come into this supply. This demand, and then make a rally. So if you are good at risk management, you may want to have a buy here in case to be filled. Then have another buy here and another buy, then add your stop below here. But then looking at this daily demand as well, price may choose to ignore all this and come into this and respect it. So you want to find a way to manage your trades so you do not place your stop loss at where other traders or smart money are buying. So that is it for link. Let's look at BZRX. Okay, this is interesting because we have this size, we have price going to this side. This is clearly a point of resistance. Price came into it, got expensive, rally downward. Then but for us to see this bullish movement, we have a demand here. It is not yet confirmed. It is good to always trade a confirmed demand. We have a demand here. If price breaks this high, yes, on retest of this on the weekly, it will be a good demand. On weekly means long time. It may not happen in the next 4 weeks even. So this is looking very good whenever price used to return to it. So but on the daily, we have the same scenario. We have this size, price approaching it. Some support and resistance will all use the body. If they place this two on the body of this candle, that means we have price into the resistance zone already, or into the resistance level already. And what do we have here? We have this very lows, then we have this low, and then we have our support. We have our resistance here. So this formation, this low to an higher low, then we have resistance here. Or here, what is this showing us? It's showing us that this is an ascending triangle. And what do happens in ascending triangle is whenever price is rejected from this, it comes to find a demand and then it breaks above it. Maybe then find a retest and then continue to the upside. So this is looking bullish. But then looking at this daily, we have a demand, we have this swing high or this local high, we have this local high. So we have a demand inside of this weekly demand here. Let me just do it like this. We have a demand there. We have a demand there. Then we have another demand there. I see another demand there. So this is on the daily. So if price breaks this, then comes to retest, I will be willing to buy here. But then if this can also be a very good level, but as it is unconfirmed yet, we do not have a close on this daily candle yet. So it is not a level to me at the moment. But if we have a strong close above this, a strong rally in price above this side and close above this side, then this will be an interesting level to me. So on the 4 hour, okay, as you can see, and like I said in the last video, it is very different when you look on the 4 hour and on the daily, because we have structure in structure, we have trend in trends. So the trends for me, all this zone is just 2 candles on the daily, whereas on the 4 hour we have multiple candles. So trading this on the 4 hour here will be a point of interest where either price breaks this or not. I will like to enter here for a rebound to the upside and an attempt to break this. But if price does break it on this very attempt, I will still also be looking to trade at this level. On this very daily zone too, there are multiple 4 hour zone here which you can trade apart from this one. So you have a level here, you have a level here from here to this bottom. Then you have another one at this very point to this place. Then you have another one at this very zone here. So you have like 3 different zones you could trade here, which is all encapsulated in the daily zone as we have it here. So you can just choose to place a buy here, and a buy here, then you stop here. But considering this level as well, you may also find a perfect place which go back to trade and risk management. You want to be able to buy somewhere, so you do not place your stop loss where others are buying, and then have your stop loss just below it all. So that is it for BZRX on the 4 hourly. So let's look at one more coin, then we call it a day. Okay, let's do ALGO. So nothing interesting too much on the ALGO on the weekly too. If you are a support and resistance trader, like I said in my support and resistance video, you can use here as a point of resistance. You can also use here as a point of resistance. But for the fact that this is just a single close, it wouldn't be a good support and resistance. But now we have one here, we have another here. This has not confirmed to be a resistance yet, but because it is a previous price line where price got expensive and it led to all this downward movement, you want to pay attention to these very highs from this point to this point. Let me mark it with the box. You want to pay attention to that price level. But then looking downwards on the weekly, this here I see a demand. When I say I see a demand, I see an accumulation. Demand is also the same thing as accumulation, right? Because when you look at all this price action inside of this zone, there is purely an accumulation going on here, and then we have this rally into this price level of resistance here. But there is nothing much to do there. We see a range, but these are weekly levels, so it can take months to happen. Now on the 4 hour candles, on the 4 hour chart, we have this one which is the weekly. Then here I see this inside bar here. This is an inside bar. When I do price action class, I'm going to talk about an inside bar. So you can choose to place a trade here, and then an inside bar highest close, or which this is a highest close. So if first trade wants to go here, then on this one and this one you have a bullish engulf. So you can also choose to use it like this. Some people use the wicks, some people use the body. You just have to find what works for you. So if you have used the wick, you will be filled. If you are waiting on the body, you can see clearly, you won't be filled. But if you have a first trade here, like maybe you're scaling your entries, you put your first buy there and your second buy here, you will still be filled and you'll be in this trade. Now, this is also another swing high or local high or pivot high, which is now broken into this area of resistance or supply. And then if price choose to come back, this is still a very good zone to buy. But then this candle here is too huge for you to place your buy. So what you may want to do is here, this is an area of a very small area where price, we have some okay volume compared to the volume we have now, this price candle. And then it is a pause in the market. Whenever there is a pause in the market, there is a likely demand there. Though it is not yet confirmed as this candle haven't closed yet. So let's look on the 4 hour if we can get anything interesting around here. So on the 4 hour now, we see that this seems like a point of reaccumulation where we have price coming, making an high here, then price refusing to close above these very highs for 1, 2, 3 candles. Then we get close above it, then the next candles was a serious sell back into it with an above average volume. Then and then it created an inside bar. Yes, it created an inside bar. So we have this size here, we have this low here, and this small candle inside encapsulated inside of it. So like I said in the last example, you either place your first trade here and then your second trade here, which validates that little pause we saw on the daily, that yes, there is a demand here. And then we have this swing guy broken by this. So when price comes into it, I want to look into a sell here. Into a buy here. And as you can see at this very moment, we have this red candle. I do not know if it will push down, but we have a dip into this area. So if price used to come back into it from there, I may want to buy. Then I will expect it to go deeper into this level. That will be my expectation. Also, another area is this here. I'm not good with using this brush. My mouse seems to be hard to move at times. So here, this is another area that might be of interest to me on the 4 hour. This particular candle. It is not an inside bar, but it is interesting. So if price choose to break this one, maybe we have, if we have a move into it and creates a lower high, not so much, then comes back into it, then I want to start buying around here. And you can't have your stop here because the space between this level and this level is so tight. So you just want to go back to your risk management again and trade management to see how probably you can buy here, buy here, buy here, buy here, buy here, and have your stop around here. So when you buy all this one, you ladder your buys, but you see have your stop loss. So you want to calculate your position size and find an average entry for all these buys here if they got filled. Because there are a lot of buys on this chart, which at times can give you an headache onto which to take. But all are looking good because we are still in a bullish market. Assuming we're in a bearish market, then you want to wait for confirmation before you take a trade here. So that is it on this weekly analysis. It will be more better because at times I just don't know which of these coins you guys are looking at. So if I can have some list of coins that you guys are interested in, maybe you want DeFi coins, or maybe you want TRC coins, or you want ERC20 coins. If I know that, then it will be easier to know which coins to look at on the daily or on the weekly. So, but for now, that is it for this weekly analysis on these little coins we can take. So thank you for watching, guys.